Is it ever appropriate to ghost your spouse? Hello everyone, my name is T. Hunter. If this is your first time coming to my channel, welcome. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back and thank you so much for coming back. Between Married at First Sight seasons 14 and 15, my husband and I were looking for a new show to watch. Well, this show is new to us, but old to others. 90 Day Fiancé. So this current season chronicled, the journey of fiancés coming from overseas to live in the States on the special K-1 visa, where the couples have to get married within 90 days, hence the title of the show. Now, one couple that stood out to me as far as the ups and downs in their communication patterns and their dynamics in their relationship was Ari and Bini, or Ari and Bini for short. So they are married with a son. Prior to getting married, they definitely had some challenges in communication where Bini was from Ethiopia and Ari was from the States. She was in Ethiopia for some type of volunteer work, some type of campaign. I forgot what exactly it was. They had a whirlwind of a romance, got pregnant rather quickly, and Bini proposed. They decided that they would get married and ultimately move their lives to the States, where Ari would have more support from her parents and her extended family in raising Avi, getting settled, and making sure that they're financially established. Now, while Ari was, either she was pregnant with Avi, I think it was during her pregnancy, she noted that one of her pet peeves was her inability to get in contact with Bini when she would be in the States and he was back home in Ethiopia. And I thought to myself, yeah, that can definitely be upsetting. And then tack on the, fluctuating hormones and changes in your body that happens when a woman is pregnant. I'm sure not being able to reach the father of your child, that can definitely send you over the edge some days. So resolve all of that, decide that they're still going to be together, they're still going to get married. By the time the 90 Day Fiancé tell-all special airs, I was noticing something that was a little bit strange. Ari had made a comment to Bini about, well, I love you. I don't know if you love me. And I thought, why is she saying that? Later on in the show, there was a pretty shocking revelation. Ari went back to Ethiopia with their toddler son for 3 months. But the kicker was, once she got over to Ethiopia, shortly thereafter, she blocked Bini's number. So he was not able to get in contact with her. And poor Bini, he gave Ari the benefit of the doubt. When he was not able to reach her, he did not panic. He did not assume that she had blocked him or that she was, in a sense, ghosting him. He just simply thought, oh, well, she's probably busy. I'll just continue to try to reach out to her and just check in with her and my son. And so that made me think, is it ever appropriate to ghost your spouse, your significant other, a romance interest? I'm sure some people would say, definitely you cannot ghost your spouse. And you definitely might not have a significant other for a significant amount of time if you have the practice of ghosting them when you have a breakdown in communication, a misunderstanding, hurt feelings. So I wanted to talk about reasons why someone might ghost a person that they are dating, talking to, friends with, the trade-offs for ghosting versus setting a boundary and setting clear expectations, and also share my experience with this phenomenon or phenomenon of ghosting. So in my opinion, these are some valid reasons to consider exiting a relationship, be it romantic, be it professional, what have you, without warning. Number one, if your safety and overall well-being are in jeopardy. If you are dealing with someone who has a difficult time regulating their emotions, they get physically aggressive when they're upset, whether it's towards you or towards property, whether they're throwing you around or they're throwing things around, that's not the safest position to be in. So staying in a relationship with someone who does not have a reasonable amount of control over their emotions when they are triggered, when they are upset, and when they are escalating, that is just a recipe for disaster, not only for that other person, but also for you and those connected to you. Number two, the person that they're trying to disengage from has a tendency or a history of trying to reel them back in. And I think everyone has either gone through a situation like this or you've heard of one where the moment you decide you want better for yourself, or the moment your relative or your friend decides that they want more from a relationship than just misery and being mistreated, all of a sudden that other person starts pulling out all of the stops, the bells and the whistles, doing their best to reel that person back in before they walk out of their lives for good. Okay, and the third and last reason that I think is pretty valid to consider exiting a relationship without a heads up. If you know that you are dealing with a person who has a history of struggling with rejection, if they cannot accept no for an answer, whether it's no, you can't have the chocolate cookie, to no, I don't want to be your partner, sometimes giving them the heads up that the rejection is coming could trigger, like I said, the former behaviors. Whether someone is physically aggressive, verbally aggressive, maybe they're emotionally or psychologically abusive. Whether that person will then try to, flip the script and maybe they want to be on their best behavior because they don't want to lose you, because they know that being in a relationship with you is a benefit. You're an asset and not a liability to them. So those are just 3 reasons. I'm sure there are more why some people might consider ghosting. Now, it's different when you are in a friendship, or if you're in a business relationship, or even if you have a romantic interest where things have not gotten to the point of you being very committed to each other. Like you've committed a lot of time and emotions and energy and attention to this specific relationship. That's why it's helpful when it comes to setting boundaries to do so in the early stages. Let people know ahead of time what you will and will not accept when it comes to being in relationship with you. Like I said, this goes for professional, social, romantic, any type of connection. We are responsible for recognizing our triggers. We are responsible for processing, past traumas if we have them. We are responsible for managing our own emotions. So once we have that insight, then we get to teach people how we would like to be treated, while also keeping in mind that we need to treat them how they want to be treated as well. So when you are setting boundaries early on, it gets rid of a lot of confusion, tension, friction, unanswered questions, the possibility for hurt feelings, because you're upfront in the beginning or early on if it's not right at the very first day. So with setting boundaries, the hope is for the other person to better understand how to be in right standing with you. Now, we do have free will. So even though you set a boundary, and even if you believe that your expectations are reasonable, and of course, all of our feelings are valid, whether people agree with us or not, we have to also be mindful that because of free will, people can choose that they do not want to meet our expectations, that maybe they don't have it in them to respect our boundaries. And it's a lot easier to respect people if they simply say, you know what, I'm not in the right headspace to be in a relationship with you because these are your expectations and I do not believe that I can deliver them, meet up to them, and sustain them. So it's best to just call it quits now, because I will end up disappointing you down the road. Better for you to be disappointed now, and then there's still a possibility for us to whether it's reconcile or even just be cordial with each other if we never have another close connection again, versus taking a lot of time, wasting time in a sense, knowing that I know that those are their boundaries, and I know that they have these expectations, but yeah, child, I'm not going to do that. Why waste your time as well as that other person's? So, boundaries are not necessarily to change other people. Ideally, boundaries are to help you change your response to other people. Okay, so moving forward, the trade offs of ghosting. So, as I stated, when you set boundaries and you have clear expectations and you do your best to communicate them and to consistently uphold those boundaries, it eliminates a lot of confusion. Um, the answers are right there, written plain in your face. So, with ghosting, the opposite happens. It leaves a lot of room for confusion, unanswered questions, hurt feelings, maybe even offenses that didn't even need to happen simply because so many things are left hanging. So many things are just left up in the air when you ghost someone. Uh, hate to be the bearer of bad news, but depending on the person that you're dealing with, ghosting could even provoke them to engage in harassing or stalking behavior. We've seen it in, movies, television shows. Some of us have even experienced it or have witnessed it secondhand, where you or someone that you know has set a boundary and said, I don't want to work with you anymore, or I don't want to be friends anymore, or they've tried to end a romantic relationship. And that other party had a very difficult time accepting the rejection and ending the relationship, accepting the fact that the other person did not want to be in relationship with them anymore. So as a result, what are they doing? Maybe they are calling nonstop. They're texting, they're emailing, they're reaching out to family and friends to try to get in contact with that other person who has tried to set a boundary and said, I don't want to deal with you anymore. And I'll just say this. Hollywood can glamorize stalking and harassing behavior, but when it's happening to you or someone you love in real life, it's not glamorous at all. It's one thing to have someone outside of your window singing their heart out and, baby, please, please don't leave me, or come on, let's just give our friendship another shot. And at the end of that interaction, you hear the word cut. But in real life, there are no producers, there are no directors. I'm sure that it can be very scary. It can be triggering even to those who have dealt with individuals who have a difficult time accepting the word no. So, just something to be mindful of. If you are planning to exit any type of relationship without a heads up, make sure that your boundaries are strong, not just internally, but also in your community of family and friends. If you're saying, hey, I'm not going to be dealing with so-and-so anymore, make sure that your family and friends know, so that if that other person tries to use them as an outlet to get to you, they know to lock down and not share any information that you wouldn't want shared. I know about the trade-offs of ghosting from personal experience. So prior to my husband and I disclosing our feelings for each other, I was talking to another gentleman, and because my husband and I established a very strong friendship prior to marriage and prior to us disclosing that we had romantic feelings for each other, my husband knew about this other gentleman. And because there was a history of romantic interest, I thought to myself, if I'm going to pursue something serious that is going to lead to marriage, this other gentleman cannot still be in my life, because that's going to cause confusion. It could potentially cause friction. It could cost me the very relationship that I say I want. So I set a boundary in my mind and I did not verbalize it to this person. So as a result, there were some subsequent attempts to get in contact. And some people might say, oh, that's so disrespectful. Why would he do that? You're married. He didn't know, because we weren't talking. And I did not tell him, hey, I'm going to pursue this other relationship that I know is going to lead to marriage. So, think it's been nice knowing you. Bye. As a result, as I said earlier in this video, it left a lot of room for confusion, unanswered questions, hurt feelings, and unresolved feelings on his end. I wish that that was not the case. However, it was. So that's just a reality that we have to be willing to accept could happen to us if we decide not to give someone a heads up that we want to end the friendship, the relationship, the situationship, whatever it is, that they might have questions. And they're not bad people for having questions. And you're not a bad person because you wanted to possibly end that connection with them. But it's just something to be prepared for. So, in short, I would say ghosting your spouse, that's a bit strange. Setting healthy boundaries with people, it needs to happen before a lot of time and emotions and attention have been invested in the relationship. Because if you think that you're going to set a boundary in the heat of an argument, that may not pan out as well as it would have if the boundary was already known up front. So before an argument happens, before a conflict arises, you already know what to expect from each other. Just my thoughts on how sometimes ghosting can be confused with setting boundaries, and sometimes the chapter might not be closed for all parties involved when ghosting is the route that we take. So, just something that we have to consider. Well, that is all that I have for today. So, if you have enjoyed this content, please feel free to give it a like, subscribe to my channel for more content, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a future post. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.